live. How's everybody doing out there? We're here to talk over the final movie of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, The Secrets of Dumbledore. I am not alone. I am joined by Connor, Basement, and JP just for the opening statements here on his end. So yeah, how's everybody doing?
I'm tired as fuck.
I'm sick as fuck, so we're even.
It's only a 1 day thing. Because I had it yesterday, and I feel better, but I still, I'm doing all right.
I love you, JP, but you look like the Crypt Keeper right now. You look like you're really defeated.
He just needs a scythe, you know.
I look like my dad.
I'm doing pretty good. I have zero complaints. I watched this movie a bit earlier today, so it wasn't like a rush to finish line.
Well, there was a rush to finish line to me. I sped watched this thing at 3 times the speed for the last third of the movie. So I didn't catch any of the fucking dialogue.
There's, I don't know. We'll get to it when we get to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We will, as always.
I love how we just jump on like, we have opinions, and like let's just fucking go.
Usually how it goes with us anyway. Quick shout out to the chat. We got Alpha and Federico joining us at the moment. So now, opening statements, basic thoughts on the movie without going into too much spoiler territory, except for JP because he's going to bed. So you start.
No, go ahead. No, you can go to somebody else. I can stay here for that.
Daceman, you want to go first?
How you doing, Paul?
Sure, I shall go first. So it's definitely better for me than the last two, and that's just mainly because like pacing. This movie felt like there was a purpose behind it, which I know is like a novel idea. What storyline?
What's that?
There was like it didn't fuck around for the first hour of the film.
Right.
It kind of just got into it, and from that like the hook in the beginning, I liked the darker tone. It should have always been this tone. It's not about kids. The movie is never about kids. So like I always found like the Niffler fucking around for 30 minutes to be like a snooze fest because I don't know how fun it would even be for kids. It's just like it seems like they wanted a more like a slightly more adult audience, but they added in these like stupid ass fucking segments to get kids to be kind of entertained.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They did away with that right away because they're fucking just murdering people left, right, and center, killing baby deers and shit.
Right.
Bambi had a fucking what the fuck?
So like the positives about the movie for me, the acting is really good. The score, I really like the music in the movie. It reminded me a lot of the other Harry Potter movies, so that helped bring me back into that wizarding world.
Right.
Visually, these have all been really good, so it kept up there. The acting replacement fucking made this movie for me.
Yep.
I mean, we're gonna get into that, but like the main thing I think that I was trying to convey last time with Johnny Depp, it's like we're supposed to believe Dumbledore, played by Jude Law, fell in love with this crazy maniac albino weirdo. Like this is much more believable like love story between two gay men than fucking. I just couldn't buy Johnny Depp. He looked like a fucking meth head. You'd find on like the corner of the Florida street. Couldn't stand it. But the tone was solid, and the movie, I think, came to a close enough for them to not continue the franchise. I know that there is like obviously weird places they can go with it, but I haven't heard anything about them making another one. So this might be it. It might be something different next time.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, for I guess the best way to summarize my thoughts is that this movie made me appreciate and accentuated the things I liked about this trilogy, but also did the same thing for the things I didn't like about that trilogy at the same time. It's very funny how that worked out. I think the pacing was infinitely better. Like Basement said, it felt like it actually had like a cohesive beginning, middle, and end. It didn't feel like we were ever in like a limbo state at any point in time. Casting, fucking shake the man of the hand who hand of the man. I can't fucking talk tonight. This is gonna be great.
Man of the hand who jerks me.
Yeah, fucking all that fun. I'm exhausted. Depp's replacement was spot on. I think Jude Law crushed it as Dumbledore in this one, and this kind of goes. I know JP's like, I fucking told you so, and I'm not denying he didn't. This made me like really get invested in the story of Dumbledore and Grindelwald, but more importantly, made me frustrated as to why in the flying fuck this wasn't more of a prominent point in the first fucking movie. But I digress.
Newt.
I hate him even more now. I hate him even more. He should have died twice.
Okay.
Was he the hero?
Do you feel like this franchise would have been better? Well, we know it would have been better with a lot more Dumbledore in it from the get-go. Dumbledore and Grindelwald, it would have been better with him just as one person instead of 3 different people. But I almost want like the central main character to be Jacob and not Newt.
It would have made more
sense.
Part
of it.
It would have made more sense.
Like, he's the human entry point into this movie,
and he's the fish out of water. So I mean,
and he's the best thing about this fucking franchise. I mean, he's one of the best things because he's consistently good through it all.
I guess and again, maybe I missed this here, but like going back to the Harry Potter franchise, Harry was the key because he survived the attack and became a Horcrux. Okay, I can fine. It takes a little long for us to get to that conclusion, but okay, I'm not huge on it, but at least that makes sense. Why did Newt have to be the one?
It's so frustrating because this character they do nothing with the entire
you could say the same. You could say the same thing about Jacob. Why would he need to be the one?
Well, for one thing, they put the main.
I personally think they should have had this through Dumbledore's eyes, and that's what this should have been.
Yep, agreed, 100%.
The one problem with having Dumbledore being and this is the problem I have with having backstories given a lot. Like, I hate when you learn more about a character that's supposed to be somewhat mysterious. It kind of hurts the character overall. Disney has done this with a lot of their franchises. So this is why I don't want Dumbledore to be the main character. It'll be too much, but he should have been much more prominent. I would agree with that. Newt, when you say Jacob had the fucking main romance part of this that kind of fell apart. And it would have been a more interesting story than whatever. Newt, he likes the Strange, or the Strange likes him, and then Tina, and then she disappears for the whole fucking movie. Like, what was... None of his storylines fucking matter. Jacob, at least, like, the whole obliviating, forgetting about the Wizarding World, coming back into it.
They're not supposed to... He's not really the hero in this movie. I did not ever once think that Newt was the hero in this movie. Personally.
But he's the main character, so like what I'm saying.
I will disagree with that. I don't think he is. I think he's just another character.
That gets the most screen time.
Does he though?
Yeah, he does for sure. And I feel like the whole franchise would be better if there wasn't a main character and they committed to it. But they didn't, and they really showcased Newt, and Newt was so fucking... On paper, his character seems very interesting, but the way that they showed it, it's terrible.
I really agree.
I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't think that he was the main character. Yes,
then why spend so much time on him?
They did.
Right.
But I don't think he should have been as on screen as much, because I don't think that he really was the main character. Dumbledore was actually the main character in this whole thing.
In the grand scheme of things, you are correct. But the problem, I think, for me anyway, was that that's misleading based off of the amount of time they give him on screen.
Agreed.
There's too much time dedicated to him, and there's too much kowtowing to include his aspect of the Fantastic Beast part of it. Always seems like we got to cram this in here. Can't forget that. Like, when we get to it, there's a scene in here that lasts for far too long that has like no bearing on hardly anything in the movie, but it's because they have to include the fucking beasts. And they have to include Newt.
Well, I mean, the chillin' was the deer thing.
That was okay. Like on paper, that is fucking such a retarded idea.
What?
The magic world is stupid as fuck, man.
It's also the 20s.
A baby deer decides who's gonna lead the fucking world.
Well, it's a baby deer that who can tell who is actually pure of intention and heart.
Yes, they can see. They explain it, which I can buy it.
Yeah, but it's just think about it.
Okay.
Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. You're trying to apply logic
to wizarding
to a magical world.
Well, I mean, they did in the Harry Potter franchise. There was some logic around like things.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking when they the fucking Triwizard Tournament, you couldn't apply for that unless you were of age and you
were somehow the Unbreakable Cup got broken.
What?
The adding the fourth name.
That's because somebody
that
was
was
over the age of 17.
Nefarious deeds.
But yes.
This is like just plucking a fucking baby deer that bows. And the head of the wizarding world. Keep in mind, the head, not just entering a kid's fucking tournament.
But
the head of the wizarding world.
It was explained that it.
Well, they allowed like a necromance deer fucking to throw it off.
How'd you not catch the zombie deer? Goddammit, zombie Bambi.
Also, how did he went from fucking criminal with his name everywhere to be like, yes, I will run for head of the world.
So that was
overnight.
I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the funniest things to this entire movie for me.
Come on, man. I mean, it was explained. The Germans were in on it.
No, I agree. I'm not saying it didn't make sense. I'm just saying it's fucking hilarious how literally at the beginning of the movie he is the most wanted man on the face of in the wizarding world.
Yes.
And then in the span of 20 fucking minutes, he's now running for the fucking head of the whole thing.
Well, I mean, think about
that was
it.
his plan from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. No. I'm not saying that doesn't make sense or that wasn't good. I'm just saying to me it's fucking funny.
It's everything happens so fast, it's so unbelievable.
Right.
I know it's a magic fucking story, but
I was just gonna
this happens, and then he's out there is like, and for my first order of business, I'm going to kill this person in front of everybody. But the deer bowed to him. He's full of good intentions. It's like, okay.
Well, he was bowing to him while he was dying.
Remember that deer, that chillin was killed, so he manipulated that chillin.
I know
So it wasn't.
That chillin wasn't chillin.
No.
Yeah, someone passes you a script that says, and then a baby deer bows, and that becomes the head of the wizarding world. It's like, yep, let's go with it.
Well, I don't know why you're laughing at it or calling it stupid, because I think at least it's creative. It's more creative than some of the other fucking shit we get, I think. Personally,
I could understand like I mean, somehow it would be better if the fucking deer wasn't a baby.
The reverence, I think, of the chillin itself too. Yeah. The reverence of the chillin too. I think, if we understood the weight and gravitas of how, I mean, yeah, they did sort of explain, like, offhand, like, oh, it's the most rarest creatures of all, and they had like the brief moment of explanation. But if there was more to it, where like, oh, it actually decided, like, if they showed flashbacks to him or it electing other officials in the future, in the past.
They did have it in like hieroglyphs, and they said that like it was an ancient tradition that they no longer practice and only brought back because now there's 3 candidates. It still was like, okay.
Did the children read the other ones?
It's neither here nor there. I disagree.
I feel like they just needed a fantastical beast.
Well, of course they are. The name of the fucking movie.
You're just trying to piss them off at this point, aren't you?
I feel like when I say they're like kowtowing to the Fantastic Beasts in the writing room, this is kind of what I mean. Like, you got to shoehorn in things that don't necessarily fit in the movie for me.
But they kind of have to.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, well,
you're both on the same page.
They wrote themselves into a corner, is what I'm saying.
Anyway, anybody want any veal?
I enjoyed this movie. It's the best of the 3. I completely understood everything.
Yeah, I'm with JP on that one.
Left it open-ended. I think what is going to happen is they're going to do the Harry Potter series, and one of the first things they're going to do is
Well, they have to do
Grindelwald
more.
and Dumbledore. They're going to finish Grindelwald and Dumbledore.
They kind of have to do more than that because of Grindelwald's and fucking Regulus Black stealing the Horcrux.
That's when it comes to Voldemort. And that's fine, and I completely understand that. I'm talking about the story of Grindelwald and Dumbledore. That needs to be finished. Because we all know for a fact, in the Harry Potter movies, Grindelwald is in prison. Grindelwald, we got to remember that Dumbledore ends up with the Elder Wand. How does that happen? They need to tell that part of the story. That's one of those things that they need to do if they're doing this Harry Potter series. Like, I don't care if it's a mini series, like a 4-part series where, it's an hour long a piece. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be another movie. It can be another 45-minute 4-part series. I'm good with it. That's what they need to do. I think that this movie did everything. It answered all the questions that needed to be answered. We know that, Credence, where he is. What I really loved about this part of the movie is when the unbreakable vow is brought into it. And how that is, and you guys will get into it. And if you haven't seen this movie, spoilers, they break the unbreakable vow at the end.
Oh.
And how did they do that?
Because
broke it.
when Grindelwald went to attack Credence, Dumbledore went to protect Credence, and the vow viewed it as Grindelwald turning on Dumbledore.
Correct, because Credence is a Dumbledore.
So wouldn't then the fucking thing have killed Grindelwald instead of just break?
No.
Because didn't he just break the vow technically?
Well, no. When they showcased what happens when he just thinks of betraying him, that's what that is. It's just thinking of doing it.
So, if I think
no, I got that part.
If it would have killed Credence, it would have killed Grindelwald. That's essentially...
Well, it almost killed Dumbledore for just thinking.
Yeah.
So when Grindelwald attacked Dumbledore and Dumbledore offspring...
Well, that's because he didn't have time to think. He just did it. And he didn't think that attack... But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing that you're missing. Credence, he didn't attack Dumbledore straight. He attacked Credence. That's why... nothing happened to him. But once he did that... Just curious as to why it would break. But once he did that, Dumbledore then realized, oh, he's attacking a Dumbledore, so therefore I'm protecting my family member. That's it.
But Grindelwald is the one who told Credence he was a Dumbledore.
Yes, I know. Shit.
If anything, it should have attacked Grindelwald. And it just breaking. It's just
the only way.
Don't ask questions.
No. The only, and I'm trying to explain it to you, but nobody's listening. The only way that Grindelwald or Dumbledore would die is if they attacked each other. Therefore, they didn't. But since he attacked a Dumbledore had every right to defend his family member, right? So that's how the unbreakable vow broke without them killing each other.
Credence is basically essentially like the loophole that it's like,
yes.
Well, technically he's a Dumbledore, ergo and it's a big giant fucking loophole. That's the way I interpreted it anyway.
So if he attacks a Dumbledore, it breaks the unbreakable vow.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing.
Shit.
Shit.
It's also not a full unbreakable vow. It is a blood pact vow, which does have different rules to it than the unbreakable vow that Snape took with Malfoy's mother.
Correct.
So.
I need to take more notes.
It's just fucking.
Yeah, that's it is. It's just fucking,
I will give this.
Didn't he attack Credence before?
No.
Yes.
He's threatened Credence. He's threatened him.
Grindelwald.
He's threatened him, and he put him up against the wall in a chokehold, which is also another threat. He's never physically actually assaulted Credence.
It's all good. Whatever.
Yeah.
I get it.
I give this movie. This is the final thing I want to say. I give this movie a 7 out of 10. 7.5, somewhere in there. But I enjoyed the movie for what it was.
I did too.
All right.
That's all I have.
I overall it was enjoyable. Did have its.
It was fun. It was a fun ride. I still think there's questions that need to be answered, though. That's all I'll say.
It was the first one of the three that I
actually told a story that was cohesive.
And I was able to. Oh God, this has got to power through this one.
But y'all have a good night.
Stop quoting me.
Yep, night. All right, so with that conversation,
night.
With that conversation out of the way, let's jump into the actual story here and break it down bit by bit.
Break it down.
What?
In Guilin, China, 1932, Newt's commander helps a Qilin, a magical creature that can see into one's soul, as well as the future, give birth. Gilbert Grindelwald's acolytes, led by Credence Barebone, attack and kill the mother and kidnap the newborn. Grindelwald subsequently kills the creature, intending to harness its ability of prognition. However, unbeknownst to them, the Qilin had twins, the younger of which Newt saved.
Starting out with PTSD right off the fucking bat.
Yeah, we'll pause it right there because this jumps ahead quite a bit. This synopsis is quite a bit shorter, even though this movie felt like it was the longest out of the three. But yeah. Opening scene, we get instant death and carnage and fucking Credence being Mr. Badass that he wishes he could be.
He starts believing in his Hawaii self.
Yeah.
I did not care for Ezra Miller very much in all these movies. And it's a lot of it's the writing, I think, of the character, but even so...
There was only... I'll be very honest. I actually liked him the most in this one, but it was only for...
the other two, he was
terrible. Yeah.
The character was terrible too, though. So.
Yeah. The only scene I really liked him in the most, really, was when we get to it was the fight with Albus. That's really it. Other than that, although, man, talk about Snape's inspiration. Jesus Christ, like he looks exactly like him in a lot of stuff.
I feel like they never gave him enough to work with. Like, everything is just like scowling and fucking sadness. And I get that's like kind of the character, but if they gave a bit more depth, the franchise is just, it's so thin. Every character only gets a certain amount of time. Nothing feels like he's got enough time to mean anything.
Well, yeah.
And I feel
in this movie, I think Ezra Miller had a total of 15 lines, and that was it for the whole movie.
Would even be 15 words.
Yeah, seriously.
But he hardly speaks, and it's like, okay, you're supposed to like care about this character. They try to get people to care, but there's just not enough there for it. I did like the design of the Qilins. They look pretty cool with the light up under the scales and stuff.
Yeah.
I was kind of weird, like they Avada Kedavra the fucking thing, and it was still alive for like 15 minutes later.
Yeah, a little fucked up.
Yeah, that was strange to me. I always thought that was an instant spell, but
yeah, it's an instant kill from my understanding. But apparently, maybe it's because the type of creature, whatever, magic bitch.
Yeah, it could be that it was non-human that saved it that little extra time. But also at this time, those were not unforgivable curses. They did not become unforgivable until after Voldemort, if I remember the timeline right.
Oh, okay. Well, I know they use another one later on.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever think, like, when I was thinking about the character, because I know we've been shitting on Newt the whole fucking time, I'm like, you know what? Like, if you were presented with this character, it's like, you know, he's a zoologist, and he has the ability to like fucking use the creatures he has to kind of help him in like in and out of situations. It's pretty interesting, especially if he used them a bit more in like fights, if he ever got into them. But they don't do that.
They did it more in
ever.
the first movie than they did in either of the next two.
So as much as I give criticism about the Harry Potter character, right, there are moments obviously more towards the end of the franchise where he's able to step up in a lot of ways. And it's more and more like he gets to the point where like he can't do shit. And then at the end of the movie, he's like literally tackling Voldemort off the side of a fucking off the side of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So like you see a gradual increase in like his leadership or his bravery, his skills and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And while Newt is really cool with a lot of some of this animal stuff in one particular scene I actually liked, I never got that from Newt whatsoever as far as like here's your leader, folks. We're fucked. He can't make eye contact.
Yeah. That's what I felt.
It would have been really nice if he utilized. It's all about Fantastic Beasts. You have the character to do it. Instead, only the first movie really accomplishes it. Instead, They just keep going back to the fucking Twig and Niffler.
Yeah.
And he's got a whole suitcase full of fucking shit. You could have had him in the second one he rides that big fucking cat thing. But you could have had him utilize the animals a lot more. And in the very beginning of this, they kind of I guess they just fucking work for him now after he's unconscious. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's an interesting character that never really gets realized, and I think a lot of that is the fact that he's like a fucking pussy magnet and like half retarded.
Yeah, it's astounding to me that a movie franchise named for magical beasts, and we get one full movie of the beasts and then nothing else after that, essentially.
I think they should have went with a different name and kept the first movie called Fantastic Beasts.
They sat there. This is the franchise that they created the Wizarding World logo for, so this could be put in with the Harry Potter. Why did they not?
World presents Fantastic Beasts
or Secrets of Dumbledore,
Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah,
and just lose the Fantastic Beasts moniker because they don't do it justice except for the first movie.
No, exactly. I mean, it could have been Wizarding World, Fantastic Beasts, Wizarding World, Crimes of Grindelwald, Wizarding World, Secrets of Dumbledore. It would have made it feel more like they were creating documentaries for these characters.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the logo and everything, you would have put two. I mean, the way everything's done, it's you can very easily identify and put two and two together.
Yeah,
it would be the Wizarding World cinematic universe instead of this is the next trilogy, Fantastic. It just doesn't work.
These are your prequels, and here is Harry Potter. I mean,
by the way, is it just
becomes a detriment to this story, the Fantastic Beasts do.
Yes.
Real random ADHD side note here, but I noticed that towards the end, there's a moment where the Harry Potter theme, or the Wizarding World theme in this case, when it's slowed down, my God, does it sound like the Empire from Star Wars?
It's very close, yes. Yeah, it's very close.
Veda?
Daddy?
Daddy! I have the high ground, bitch!
Well, actually, he's now the high ground in Scotland, so...
I hate you.
Alright, moving on. Unable to battle Grindelwald due to their blood pact, Albus Dumbledore recruits Newt's brother Theseus. Oh, he's a theory?
A game theory.
Ivermorny charms teacher Lally Hicks. I hated that fucking name. Sanghalese French wizard Yusef Kama, and American nomad Jacob Kowalski, and Newt's assistant Bunty, another one I hated, Brodakar, to thwart Grindelwald's plan for world domination. They travel to Berlin, Germany, where Yusef is planted as a spy in Grindelwald's inner circle. Grindelwald has his convert, Queenie Goldstein, use legilimency to test Yusef's trustworthiness. The International Conference of Wizards acquits Grindelwald of all previous criminal charges, allowing for his candidacy as Supreme Mugwump of the ICW.
I don't want that title.
I don't want to say ICW again. Despite Dumbledore's attempts to otherwise persuade current Supreme Mugwump Anton Vogel. We're going to pause there because there's a shit ton that happened in all of that paragraph.
I thought it was pretty cool when they're like, this is going to be like a Harry Potter like team up heist fucking movie. But then they were like, the plan is to not have a plan. And then to have many plans on top of that, no plan. I'm like, okay, well, of course.
It's Ocean's -11.
It is.
And the team fucking sucks. I'm sorry. Like, Theseus, I fucking hate the guy. I thought he was a bad guy the entire fucking movie. Like, he comes off like a dick.
Theseus is probably one of my favorites out of the group, to be very honest with you, next only to Jacob, and it's only because he's like the sassy, he's basically everyone in this franchise is a dick. Everyone, everyone.
But he gives me bad guy vibes. The actor kind of like portrays. It's hard for me to buy him as a good guy, is what I'm saying.
Right.
The Lolly, okay, well, I guess they just got rid of fucking Tina, which doesn't make any fucking sense. She's doing important things in America. I'm like, okay, her sister is fucking part of the Dark Lord's crew, and captured by them. She doesn't give a shit.
A huge misstep to me as far as like the writing, and maybe it might have been limitations based off of the actress or whatever.
They had 15 other characters to portray.
And apparently Newt, still swimming in so much puss, has an assistant
for 8 years.
Yeah, remember she was in the last movie. She went to pound him too.
Oh my god.
She was living in a suitcase.
When you put it like that, it makes it so much better.
It's his hoe bag. The black dude, the French black dude.
Yeah,
just get rid of his character. He didn't need to be in this movie at all. It does nothing. They're like, we're putting you undercover, and then they have this whole scene with him like getting his memories sucked out. Nobody cares.
Which with that
it all builds up for like a 2-second action scene that could have just not been in the movie.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, them showing that and them showing Grindelwald. Well, you wouldn't mind if I just got rid of that for you, would you?
I put in my notes for him, best spy ever.
It's just like I like the scene when he takes the memories. I thought that was pretty fucking.
It proved to me exactly how despicable Grindelwald actually is. Like you don't care that you killed his sister, but you are gonna brainwash him essentially to have him on your side.
But again, it's one of those things that like after that scene, nothing happens with it.
Yes.
And it's like you have too many things going at once, and none of them get enough attention. And then you spend fucking so much fucking time on Newt and Newt's fucking stupidity.
It's called charm.
That's how he's getting all the poontang pie. I did like the trip they ended up in Germany, and this was like, I think timeline wise, what are we like right before the Second World War or something?
Yeah,
there's
30s.
A big missed opportunity.
It's just before it. It's 1932.
I want Nazi wizards.
that like there was a huge missed opportunity for them. Like they really cherry picked history of what they wanted. Like we want some of the accents every now and then, and it's going to be wildly different for everybody.
Viva ask the questions.
We want the clothing and the aesthetic from there, but we don't want any of the history that goes along with it at all.
Imagine Oppenheimer's a wizard and he just makes the fucking atom bomb. Well, fuck these guys.
Like they didn't touch any of the racism, and I'm okay with that because the wizarding world has its muggles and whatever. But like they also didn't touch anything about the World War. They mentioned like they offset what they said. Fucking Theseus was in the war, and that's it. That's the only thing we've ever heard of World War One. There's no talk about the world gearing up for World War Two or anything like that. And I'm like, oh, they're in Germany. They're gonna show us like what the German wizards look like at the time, and it's like, okay, well, it's
The only thing
an Asian man for some reason.
The only thing worse than a Jewish wizard is a Jewish muggle. It's like, whoa! Oh my god! Oh, I need a Niffler to recover. Niffler.
I feel like there's like a treasure trove there of crossover for like a dark series.
Yes, there is so much they could do for this, but they chose not to, which is just like, why? You could have very easily made this top fucking notch and thrown wizards into fucking World War II.
Wizarding World presents Schindler's List.
It was actually like an evil wizard that was like controlling fucking Hitler.
He was having a Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was Grindelwald all along. No, I felt it was just a missed opportunity. Unfortunately,
it was.
Didn't have to go too deep into it, but I feel like this is the stuff. I guess when Connor, you were saying like this could have been a show. If you were to do a show, you could dive way more into that kind of stuff because you'd have the time to do it.
But as we were saying before we got on here, and a little bit even in the preview, real quick, since we're on him right now, Mads Mikkelsen. Shut up and take my fucking money. He fit the role. He did the job. He fit the tone. He should have been Grindelwald from the beginning.
I agree.
I watched the Hannibal series and saw him in that, and I'm like, man, this guy is he's like a smooth, villainous, fucking evil motherfucker.
Which is what Grindelwald was.
Yeah, and it's very suggestive. Like if you watched any of the Hannibal series, you could be like, "That's the fucking perfect person." Yeah. But instead, they went with fucking Captain Jack Sparrow.
Well, I was about to say now I didn't mind Depp obviously in the role, but now seeing him, I'm like, oh yeah, well fucking Tim Burton over there is we're going to replace him.
He just like he's out of his element, honestly.
The
movie, like Grindelwald and him together, him playing Grindelwald and seeing Jude Law as Albus Dumbledore, they looked like equals.
Yes.
They also would look like fucking. I could buy them as a couple of gay men.
Yes.
Well, by the way, you put Jude Law right next to fucking crazy eye, blonde hair weirdo. It's like, okay.
Well, Matt Nicholson still had the contact in that.
Yeah, the different eyes.
He still had that.
It was so.
But it was
much more subtle.
Yeah.
And his character was downplayed, and it works so much better to sell like the villainous side to him.
I will also say that the opening scene with them in the restaurant I actually really, really liked.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the opening of this movie.
And I know that like sometimes we've talked about how sometimes I know what month it is gets shoved down the throats, no pun intended sometimes. I thought that as far as that being a part of or a piece to their overall story, I actually loved it. I thought it was a perfect. They didn't browbeat us to death with it. They made it very clear that that at least Albus was in love with Grindelwald.
He still is in love with him, and you can tell that subtle touch to even that scene where when he showed Theseus the blood pact, and Theseus asked, "What would drive a person to make such a thing?"
Yeah,
and Dumbledore sits there and says, "Love." Power, magic, you take your poison. It's just that subtle pause on love. And then moving on. It was perfect.
It's a very like respectful way to show it. Yes. It's a very real way to show it. I think people get like this thought in their head that like people fucking just because people are tired of like it being shoved down their throat doesn't mean it's like I would be against a fucking a gay storyline or anything like that. If it's handled with respect, this is like any romance storyline for me.
If it's handled like it is in the real world, when you see an actual person who is actually gay, they're not, "Hi, I'm gay." They introduce themselves first, and then you figure it out.
They aren't their fucking sexuality. They are a person beyond that.
Yes.
And that's what I got from this. And they did a very good job. The two actors fucking killed it.
Yes. And
if you had more time with them, I think on-screen chemistry-wise, they could really work well together. It's a shame because there's such good in this franchise, but it's so marred by all the other shit that they throw in here.
And sorry, my last tangent. I'm throwing tangents all over the fucking place. the physical explanation of what we thought was anyway an unbreakable vow was also very very cool to see. When he like, what happens if you try to break an unbreakable vow and the thing flies off and tries to kill Dumbledore? I thought that was
strangled by it.
I really, really, really liked that, because it was just the nice subtle nuance. You don't need a lot of it. You don't need like constant reminder. You don't need this like looming threat. Just a quick little flash in the pan moment of a quick representation of understanding the gravity and weight of why the fuck this is all happening in the first place.
Right.
Honestly, I any time that Jude Law's Dumbledore or Matt Nicholson was on screen, I was like, I'm here for this. This is what kept me going. Like, all their scenes are great, and then you have the actual cast, which is like bringing me down. I did enjoy. Jacob was a lot better in this movie than the second one.
And since we're coming up to it in the next paragraph, the fucking unnecessary slow motion.
Oh, that's been throughout this fucking series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always the slow motion scene with the fucking Niffler.
Although I'm not gonna lie, the Niffler in the cave, when we'll get to it. When
we'll get there. We're almost there.
I popped for that one. I don't give a shit. I'll be the first one to admit that.
The only thing is, like, because I knew it was gonna happen, it didn't hit me as well as it could have.
Still got me.
Still not bad.
Yeah, but we're moving on here. Meanwhile, Grindelwald's acolytes, who have undermined the German Ministry of Magic, arrest Theseus and plot to assassinate the Brazilian Supreme Mugwump candidate, Vicentia Santos. Dumbledore dispatches Newt to Erkstag, the secret German wizarding prison, to find Theseus. Lally and Jacob successfully prevent the assassination. Again, unnecessary fucking slow motion. They escape, but Jacob is framed for attempting to murder Grindelwald, who then justifies turning the wizarding world against all muggles. Thanks to the wand, the supposedly non-magical core wand that Dumbledore gave Jacob. Meanwhile, Credence battles Albus Dumbledore, who quickly defeats him. Credence learns he is the illegitimate son of Aberforth Dumbledore, Albus Dumbledore's brother. You did not have to put the full fucking name in there, people. Credence then questions his loyalty to Grindelwald. Elsewhere, Newt and Theseus escape the Erkstag and use a portkey to transport to Hogwarts. Here's my question. How the fuck did he know the tie was a portkey?
Because the movie has happened. Of course. All right, moving on.
He even questions it when they get there. Oh, it was a portkey. I just thought we were plummeting to our death.
Right?
Saved in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hate you. One thing I wanted to say, actually earlier that I kind of forgot. This is the same thing I questioned about the fucking Star Wars franchise. If you're going to make a movie and it's going to have themes that you hope that kids will still enjoy while adults will watch it too and kind of enjoy, why do you center it around like a political fucking movement? The politics in Star Wars killed me when I was younger because I fucking hated it. When I was older, I liked it a bit more, but it's still, there's so much time spent on politics. This is the same thing. Like, that's just the political movement of who's going to be the next What does that even mean?
Mugwump?
The next wizarding world wizarder?
No, he is literally all of wizarding law.
Right.
He will be writing the laws for all wizards. All the standards and guidelines that they need to follow for all muggles, and keeping the wizarding world away from the muggles, or just flat out killing the muggles.
Right. So he's the Führer.
They did not really say that's what he does.
He's the Führer.
That's exactly what they said. He would be the leader of all the wizarding world.
Yeah.
They said the name? Real quick on this part that we just went over, and I don't usually talk about this much, but from a visual standpoint, and I know this movie came out last year,
right?
And I know everything was slow, but I could very easily, between the assassination scene or prevented assassination scene and then escaping the Erkstag, I could really see like this looking and experiencing this in the theaters being fucking incredible and having that like real like movie like
visually it's a very pretty movie.
Oh yeah,
for the most part.
But just this particular part here, obviously I go back. I've been to the theaters multiple times because I'm on Marvel, but like there are some scenes in movies that obviously like I get that like feeling of like, oh man, the old school theater experience when I was a kid or when I was younger. Some hit it, some don't. But for me in this movie, that those two scenes back to back, man, I've been like, man. And Heather, you said you saw one of these in the theaters, right?
No, I did not see any of these in the theaters. I saw the last two Harry Potter movies.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
In theaters.
Yeah. And so
I agree with you on like the visual, especially like this is the problem with the scene in the Erkstang or whatever the fuck it was.
Erkstag, yeah.
It's very much, if you're not watching in the theater, long as fuck.
Yeah.
That went on for way too long. And it was grabbing around down there. It was like 25 minutes for a scene that was just breaking him out of a fucking prison cave.
By gyrating and clapping his fingers.
They had to include the beast. This is the forced inclusion of the beast that bloat this movie for something that's simple as breaking him out of a fucking dungeon or whatever the fuck he was in.
Like we all did not like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but I can tell you from being in the theaters, visually there were scenes where it's like, holy shit. That doesn't.
We can tell you from being high while watching it, there were scenes that were holy shit.
It's the same as like wrestling, right? Going to like a Raw, you're almost gonna be like, yeah, this show was pretty good. Watching on TV, it's like, oh man, that was fucking trash.
Yeah, when you watch it, that is
changes
always
a lot, right?
That's always the case. You watch something in a theater or live action show, it's better because you're there in the moment of that action. You get home and rewatch it. It's just like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Case in point, WrestleMania 32 and SummerSlam 2017.
There's also like a shared emotion in a group, right?
Yes.
That will sway how you feel. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. And even like the scene when they were going up to the German fucking ministry, whatever it was, and everyone was in the street rioting or like going for their person. I was like, man, it's pretty visually like they really did a great job, set design and fucking costumes, and just making it feel real.
Yeah.
So that is like where this movie really shines. However, the plot is kind of convoluted on purpose.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's.
I did not like the fucking dungeon scene. Went on forever.
I didn't like the fucking.
Ever and ever.
I did not like the unnecessary slow motion of Jacob pulling the wand out and it exploding with that storm, and her slow motion kicking of paper and creating a fucking trail for him to run.
I did kind of like the idea of the paper trail because that was the attribute they gave to her.
Well, yeah, she's a charms teacher.
At the beginning.
It's funny. I actually liked the cave scene, but I agree that it definitely went too long. But I think there are parts of it that I like. The sense of danger. Whoever the fucking front desk guy is a fucking dick. Like,
yeah, but you also noticed at the end of that scene he was missing the gold tooth.
Oh no!
And he's dead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and he's probably dead. Huh? Oh my god! Like I actually didn't mind the cave scene, but
the cave scene was too long, man.
No, I agree. I agree. The cave scene was too long, but my favorite was without a doubt the Credence Albus fight.
Yes,
that was a lot of fun.
This reminded me a lot of like Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it was a lot
more fitting.
It was visually, this was very impressive.
Yes.
And they didn't say a lot, but you understood what was kind of happening, which I really liked because the visual storytelling of it all worked.
I also loved, and I know they do this later on, I think, with Albus and Grindelwald, is the idea of, at first I'm like, they're fucking blowing up buildings and buses and shit, and no one, and then later
reacting.
Right, I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, no one, not a gasp or a shock or a fart or nothing.
But you also notice at the end of that fight, you see Dumbledore walking away, and there's actually nothing destroyed.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had essentially brought
like
them
mirror
into
dimension.
their own protected bubble to have that fight.
Basement hit the nail on the head. I was just like, oh, it's mirror dimension, basically. So
It is
like,
pretty much. He fucking spits through or whatever he does through the mirror, and from that on, they're in a different dimension.
Because you notice there is literally no other people there but them.
I'm gonna spit on your forehead. Let's fight, bitch.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Nephew.
That was a nice piece. Like, for all the good that's in this movie, it's hard to like.
I told you, like I said at the beginning, it accentuates all the things I liked about this trilogy, but also accentuate all the things I didn't like about this trilogy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Portkey, barely knew thee.
I absolutely like the overall tone, though. They hardly went into like the fucking the tone of the first movie. This movie seems so like distant from the other two for me.
Right. Yeah, it really does.
Tonally and like structure wise, it doesn't seem like it was like created by the same people, even though I know it was. It's like that. I think J.K. Rowling like was screenwriting for all of them, and I feel like this is the difference between her as a writer versus her as a screenwriter. Yeah, and she's a much better writer than screenwriter.
Yep, agreed.
Totally, 100% agree. All right, moving on. Wizarding World leaders gather in Bhutan for the Walk of the Chillin ritual, where a Chillin selects a worthy new Supreme Mugwump. Grindelwald foresees Dumbledore and Newt smuggling the surviving...
for fuck's sakes. Where the Chillin selects a new Supreme Mugwump.
We're running out of words.
Grindelwald foresees Dumbledore and Newt smuggling their surviving twin Quillin to the ceremony in a suitcase. To thwart Grindelwald's cohorts, each Dumbledore ally carries an identical suitcase. As the team moves through the village, Queenie, who has renounced Grindelwald, finds and reunites with Jacob. No. That's not what I remember happening. But, yeah.
Well, she does meet up with him, but she doesn't really renounce him.
No, she's standing up there, and fucking Jacob gets hit with the Cruciatus curse, and that's when she sits there and leans over him and starts screaming, "No, make it stop!"
Well, he did kind of like talk to her in this.
Real quick.
He tried to speak to her at the dinner. At the
he stood up
when they went to thwart the assassination.
Did he really try though? He just kind of fucking stood up.
He stood up. Hey, Queenie.
What was with the fucking old woman and him? That went nowhere? Did that go anywhere? The old woman that comes up to him?
No.
And she's like, "Oh, I like the way you look, you young whippersnapper. Where are you from? Queens." And then they like at the dinner scene, they look at her, and then all of a sudden,
would you like a butterscotch candy? No, nothing came of it. By the way, I real quick on the joke we were making earlier about like, wow, that sentence. Side note, I've recently started to rewatch Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it really makes me fucking baffle sometimes with like franchises like this, Star Wars, and like Harry Potter. It's like I'm waiting for someone to go like, we've ran out of words. We don't know what to call this thing anymore. Like Rick and Morty made fun of it too. It's like you can hear them like trying to come up with fucking concepts of names of shit. And it's like, where the fuck?
It's weird too, because like when a word just sounds silly, like wugwomp or whatever the fuck, that's like the leader of the world or something. What? Okay.
Wugwomp.
I did. Okay, so they get together. They all get together as a group, right? And they have all the suitcases made at this point in time. I did kind of like this scene. I loved every scene with Jacob and Dumbledore. Every time they were like grouped together, and he's kind of like, this is.
He's the happy puppy on the side that is just extremely glad to be included in everything.
That's me. That's me right there. That's why I identify with him. By the way, why on God's green earth does it have to fucking be in the worst school in all of the wizarding world once again?
Because it's Dumbledore, and he's headmaster.
Everyone's an asshole and Hogwarts sucks.
I did enjoy that scene at Hogwarts when fucking Jacob was talking to the kids. It felt like real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the kids were actually having fun with him on set. So that was kind of neat.
And it was even more fitting that he was sitting with Slytherin House and they gave him chocolate-covered roaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun too. I'm a new Slytherin.
That's a fun scene. Now, in the whole like city scene where they're like fucking Grindelwald's army is like standing on all the rooftops.
Yeah.
It's like okay, but he does. I think he does run into Queenie, Jacob, and they do talk to each other. And he's like, "My heart's not full because you're not in it."
Yeah, I remember that when he's in the bakery.
No.
I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking
that was a flashback
this is like
he had at the beginning.
Yes.
Budapest, wherever the Himalayan city that they're in.
They're in Bhutan.
Before they go to
yeah.
top.
When they put that's when they have all the suitcases.
When they get caught.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they get caught. I mean, I felt that like the whole multiple suitcase thing was kind of not bad, but I don't know. Just seemed to like come to a close so fast.
It worked great with that non-plan they did not have.
Yeah, and fucking Bunty, when she fucking brings the suitcase up to him, it's just like, fucking Christ, man. I mean, it's just, she brings the suitcase up to him, and not everybody needs to know everything. And then she looks at Grindelwald and she's like, woo! And runs.
Well, as soon as this fucking scene was happening, right, I was like, okay, so they said there was how many suitcases? And then we see the rest of it, like, I'm like, of course it's going to be fucking Bunty that comes up. Yeah, I'm like the only person they haven't showed. So,
yeah, they show her going to get the 6 suitcases made, but then she doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
No, it was like it's a fun sight gag, but this is also that point where fucking the French Nigerian guy, or whatever the fuck he is,
Yusuf.
Yeah, makes his big
reveal that he's actually not part of their crew. Oh!
And it leads to nothing anyway.
And
also, like, what was up with the fucking girl? It's like, I'm gonna take the suitcase away from you, and then she took it, and he wakes up and he just runs up to her. That was so weird to me. I get what was happening, but it's like, why? He gets knocked out, and then next time he wakes up, she's halfway up the stairs. So he runs up to her, and then she gives him the suitcase and disappears. And I'm like, why did that whole sequence even happen? Why not just the suitcase disappears halfway up the stairs?
Because
why didn't she apparate?
Like, I'm just like the whole involving of her character, and like, I'm actually with Dumbledore. And it's like, no, you're not. It just seemed like a weird filler that didn't even need to be there.
Why the fuck are you taking stairs? You can fucking transport, you bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's no, it just didn't make any sense to me. It was
it was
5-minute add-on that didn't need to be there.
Watch me apparate up these stairs. Ready?
Yeah. That's also he has to run after her. I was like, come on, man. Everyone's teleporting all the fucking planets up in this bitch.
That was great typing.
Alright. Moving on here. Using necromancy, Grindelwald reanimates the dead Chillin and manipulates it to choose him during the Supreme Mugwump selection ceremony. Grindelwald immediately declares war on all muggles and tortures Jacob. However, Credence, Newt, and Bunty expose him. Bunty produces the surviving Chillin, which bows to Dumbledore, who declines the position. Santos is then chosen as the new Supreme Mugwump. Enraged, Grindelwald tries to kill Credence by casting the Killing Curse, but Credence is simultaneously protected by Aberforth and Albus. Dumbledore's and Grindelwald's clashing spell break the Blood Pact. Their ensuing battle reaches a stalemate and Grindelwald disapparates. In the aftermath, Aberforth accepts the alien Credence as his son and takes him home. Jacob and Queenie marry at Jacob's Bakery in New York City, and most of the group and Tina Goldstein in attendance. Newt spots Dumbledore watching from across the street. Dumbledore thanks Newt before disappearing into the night. And that is the end of the movie. And like I said, this was the shortest synopsis we have had for all 3 of these movies, but I feel like this movie was the longest of the 3.
He disappeared into the night.
So I liked the Grindelwald Dumbledore fight and the end to that part with them. I hated the whole fucking Chillin thing because like it comes out and it's such a missed opportunity. Well, it's a missed opportunity,
That's a surprise.
Man. It's a missed opportunity because it bows to Dumbledore. It's just like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm out.
Yeah.
He fucking punts it.
Why? Like, I thought the movie. It was just me that thought the movie was like prepping it so that fucking it bowed to Jacob.
That would have been great, right? I mean, they did give a little bit of a hint at that.
That's what I think. That's why I thought Dumbledore brought him along. Because he's okay, like, and also he's playing. Remember when he was eating that fucking shit and the thing wouldn't leave him alone?
Yeah. The little hint, yeah.
Yeah. So like, he kind of felt like
They were hinting at
that's
that.
what. Instead, it bows to fucking Santos Escobar.
I think
Nobody cares about her.
I think the chillin'. I don't mind it but I
don't
think
mind that as a tool of what they're trying to do, but I just hated what they did with it.
The gravitas of it being like the soul decide. Like I don't even mind. Like, how do I say this the right way? I don't mind it being the one that helps choose the next leader of the Wizarding world based upon its ability to sense that of pure heart. That makes sense to me. What I just don't like, it's just like, by the way, we're going to kill the mother of this extremely important type of creature that is a crucial fact for not only this movie, but essentially the entire franchise and the motivation of the antagonist for this entire 3-part series, like these 3 movies. That's the part I think where I'm a little like, it's hard for me to like to buy it.
I didn't get like, they said that they were like extremely rare, but like it just wasn't one in existence. And it was also like a practice that they no longer used.
Oh, just happens to have twins.
But brought back, well, I mean, that's coincidental.
Right.
The thing that pisses me off is the whole fucking franchise they're talking about, like, they were basically ironing it into my fucking forehead that Jacob's like this great guy. It's the girl that can read minds. She reads his mind, and it's like she falls in love with him because he's so honest with his own thoughts. What does the fucking deer do? Like, you've written this to this point, what is Dumbledore? Not Dumbledore. Grindelwald's whole thing. He hates Muggles because they're below him. The deer fucking bowing to Jacob would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Santos Escobar.
We're not watching
like, why?
Hey, Santos is pretty good, right?
It's just like it was so anticlimactic.
Yeah, that's.
Daddy, chill.
Daddy
girl.
Daddy girl.
It was super anticlimactic, the choosing thing, and even like bowing to Dumbledore, it didn't sit with me because Dumbledore is not supposed to be a fully good character.
You know what?
It's established throughout the franchises before that he's not.
Well, I was about to say you know, at even that point, that kind of makes what I'm about to say kind of moot, but because I agree with that more than what I was about to say was I would have made more sense to me if the thing kneeled to Dumbledore after kneeling to Santos, and like privately away from everybody else. But
that's what I thought it was going to do after it kneeled to Dumbledore and walked off. I'm like, oh, it's going to go kneel to Jacob. I don't expect Jacob to be the leader of the fucking Wizarding world, but it's proving a point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was dumb though. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because Dumbledore is not wholly good.
No, he's not. They tried to make him better than what he actually is with this movie. And
I love the fact that he was kind of like, it was the most interesting thing about his character.
Yeah.
That he wasn't like, he obviously played people as well.
Albus the Grey?
Yeah. Albus the Grey is the perfect name for him. But,
I'm kind of retarded.
But the ending of this,
I didn't mind it.
This is when we figure out that Credence and Aberforth are the ones writing back and forth to each other in the mirrors. And how Aberforth didn't tell him beforehand that I didn't know you actually existed until now. Before Dumbledore fucking told Credence.
You don't get enough with that.
There wasn't enough room on the mirror.
I just felt
where do I begin? There's only enough steam in the day.
There's literally closure for next to nothing.
Yes.
Well, the only closure we get is who's the next Wugwamp, and who gives a fuck?
Because I want to. Yeah, as JP said, they left this so open-ended that they're going to have to do something to close it off permanently and bring it to Harry Potter for this to be a viable prequel series.
Yeah, the door's wide open because
if they were smart, they'd do this, like the whole thing, reboot the whole fucking Fantastic Beasts and put it in to the Harry Potter franchise just to when they do the show and kind of like show all of it. You can show it all from time skips and things like that if you want to, or you can start with the Fantastic Beasts. But like I don't want it to continue in the state that it is.
I was about to say, because you have presuming that Harry Potter takes place in the years that they were released, that means that we have Jesus 70 almost 80 years between this and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Well, here's
you don't have to show everything.
No, but I mean, for 80 years of fucking content of a Wizarding World, I mean, I'm sure with Dumbledore being at the helm, there's tons of. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not the full 80 years though, because Grindelwald is captured long before Harry Potter is brought in. And he's captured before Voldemort is even a thing.
Yeah. Right, that's my point, is that there's still so much content, like there's so much storytelling in between that you can do with either Grindelwald or Voldemort that sky's the fucking limit.
So honestly, I wouldn't want them to do Voldemort because they had so much of Voldemort's past as part of the Harry Potter series itself.
You don't need more Voldemort
to do
at
Voldemort.
All. And you don't need as much, like, I know, like, you could have had Dumbledore and all that should be, like, centralized. But the more you reveal, the less mysterious the character is, the worse the character's off. Like,
right.
It killed Han Solo when they did it, and it's like, some things you just don't need to know. And it's better left not knowing. Like, they can allude to it, and you can make up your own fucking mind about how
on that one.
I want to be the next mugwump.
All right, so that's the end of the movie.
And the franchise, as far as we know.
Yeah. For right now, until they launch the HBO series of basically rebooting the Harry Potter series, maybe we'll bring this back. We'll see. But until then, ratings, gentlemen. Where are we at for this movie and the franchise as a whole?
I want to see wizards in the 70s.
Oh, I do too. Are you kidding me?
Afros and bell bottoms. Come on.
The 50s, 60s, and 70s with that fashion sense that was out there. I want to see it.
Give me the hit. I want to see Nazi wizards first. Give me that first, and then let's talk.
They didn't give it to you this time, so I don't think you can.
Viva la ask the Christians of Avada Kedavra.
Who would like to start?
Connor, do you want to start?
Sure. It's all right. No. All right. So this one was definitely my favorite of all three. I think that my record of how I felt about the first two is pretty clear. And like I said at the beginning of this review, this movie did a great job of accentuating the things I liked about the franchise, but also the things I didn't like about the franchise. Everyone's an asshole. Newt's drowning in puss, and I don't fucking like him because he can't make eye contact with fucking anybody in this goddamn movie, in the franchise. There's potential here. There is a lot of potential for, like, there's some, not even just the acting, but like there's story elements here that could really be stretched out and played out a little bit further, or to other varying degrees, that you could really have some fun with this, of like a prequel series or whatever before the Harry Potter franchise kicks in. And there's a lot of great potential in it, but this, unfortunately, this trilogy does not do that. I don't like Newt as the main center of the protagonist, because again, he can't look anybody in the fucking eyes, and he can do a crab walk dance apparently and fucking avoid scorpions. But he's an interesting character in and of his own right, but not the main protagonist. Like I said, Jude Law as Dumbledore fucking crushed it, and that's the other part too. And this is echoing what JP's been saying this entire time for these last three movies, is that like the focus should have been a little bit more on Dumbledore from the beginning to help kind of really like let this flow a little bit better. I think that this was the best out of the three. So for the movie itself, I'm going to give it the same as JP's rating, 7.5 out of 10. For the franchise itself, I mean, we've talked about this before from the first movie. It's really unfair to compare this to Harry Potter because you're taking away a lot of the key elements that made Harry Potter so great and so classic and with the wide audience. So it's going to be a step down, obviously, but I think overall, if we're looking at just these three movies collectively, I'd probably go like around a 6 overall between them. There's some good, but obviously compared to the actual Harry Potter franchise, it's almost unfair, like comparing apples and oranges.
Fair enough. Basement? As I go through puberty again?
I'm going to pretty much be very similar to what you said. Maybe a little bit more harsh on this movie. I did enjoy it, but there's so many things that I'm like, oh god, why? Like all the staples that need to be there for a movie to be successful are there, except some of the writing is all fucking weird, and like the a lot of the plot to me is like, we need to put this in because we feel obligated to, not that the movie needs it, but we have to like stay true to our roots, and it just takes away from the movie. And I also felt like the end of the movie, and this is like a theme for these films, it all seems to be like, okay, we answered some questions and we gave you like a very limp dick ending. Because the ending for me was like, okay, Grindelwald escapes and there's no closure, and Tina shows up. Who cares? Like I don't care about anything that's happening because they've done a piss poor job of setting it up. Characters are enjoyable enough when they're on screen. Newt is a terrible protagonist, and he is the protagonist. I don't care what anyone says. Like I said, he's a good character on paper, but when you add those things together and make him like the vessel for the viewers to like enter this magical world, it just doesn't work. And there's no progression. His character just does not fucking change. He's the same in the first movie at the very first fucking scene we see him as he is at the end of this movie. And all he seems to be is like he kind of pushes the plot along.
I legit asked this
because
question.
He's involved in it for no reason.
I legit asked this question because maybe there was something I missed, because there's a lot between the second and the third movie that I could. If you were to replace Newt with another wizard who had like similar skill sets, or not even the animal stuff, would it have made a fucking difference?
Probably not.
Cool. All right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he's just.
With how these three movies were done and set up, I don't think you can either remove nor replace.
You know what he feels like? He feels like a teacher that showed up in the Harry Potter series that gets about 20 minutes of screen time max.
Well, I worry it was the Indiana Jones trope, which I don't know if you've seen that joke from Big Bang Theory. Where, like,
it is exactly. It is exactly.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Basement?
No.
So essentially, the joke in Big Bang Theory is that they make about Indiana Jones is that in the first movie, you could remove Indiana Jones has no relevance to the plot. You could remove him, and everything would happen exactly as it did.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much true, because like I think in the first movie he's there and
nope,
they brought him in to get the Obscurus, but it doesn't matter. No, I'm talking about this franchise.
Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to like checks and balances. And the first movie, you take him out of that, and a lot of the screen time is gone, but the actual end storyline would be exactly the fucking same.
Yep.
Second movie, I don't even like. Second movie for me, I think is like looking back on it, I think the second movie is the worst of the three.
Yes, I would agree with
that. And this one as well. Like he's a catalyst to get from point A to point B, but you could have replaced him with a fucking stick. Like it doesn't really matter. And that's the biggest problem, I guess. He has potential to be a strong character, but they don't do anything with him. And a lot of the characters' motivations don't make sense. Queenie as a character to me was just like, we need her here, so we're putting her here. We're not going to earn her change in motivation or change in character. We just need her to be part of this. It seems like all the emotional weight and change that is needed to be put, they skipped. And this is why you don't get a very good movie. This one, though, is the best of the three. I'd put it between a 6.5 and 7, like 6.8, somewhere around there. The franchise as a whole, I'm with you. It's pretty much a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, it's almost unfair in some cases, like I said, to compare it to Harry Potter. Less movies, less interesting characters.
Even if it didn't have the Harry Potter moniker, it's just not very good.
All right. I can
6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I was worried about this when they first announced it coming out, and for good reason with the first and second movie. But it intrigued me. It did not suck me in, and I did not watch the full franchise in its entirety until we did this. So that should, me as the staunch Harry Potter fan,
ta-da,
should tell you that this should not have been made, at least not in the way that it was made.
I'm a pretty big Harry Potter fan too, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
I fucking avoided these movies like the plague because I just didn't want them. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I understood why they were going to do it. I mean, not just a cash grab, but also people were clamoring to know the past of Dumbledore. And when they introduced Newt Scamander and it wasn't the young Dumbledore that was going to be leading this series, a lot of people were upset. So it became a blunder until they ended up having to replace Johnny Depp, and then Mads Mikkelsen saved the day and made this movie as good as it was. For me, this movie is just like with JP. It's right around a 7 for me. I will not go to a 7.5 because there are still unanswered questions.
The way you just said that made me think you were rating JP a 7 out of 10.
10 out of 10 in my books.
But I cannot go to a 7.5 for this movie like he can. But I could easily give this movie alone a 7. The franchise itself, I would go as low as a 5.5 to a 6. Ooh. On it for the franchise as a whole, because nothing really meshed together the way a trilogy is supposed to.
Oh, I agree on that one.
This movie feels way different than the first movie and different enough from the second movie, so it doesn't feel cohesive at all.
It doesn't. It really does not. There is very, very little, if any at all, continuity with this series. And that's its downfall, in my opinion. And these are supposed to be 3 connected movies, but they feel completely 3 disjointed movies.
And it doesn't help to have 3 different fucking Grindelwalds.
Right.
Because you do end up with 3 different actors playing that character, and it's hard to, like, get your head around it. Did you also feel like where this movie kind of starts to find its footing, it's kind of sad that you won't
get another one? Yes.
Yeah, because it seems like
at
they
this
finally
level
are getting where they needed to be, but yeah, too little, too late.
Honestly, this is where they should have started. If they were going to do this, this is how this movie felt, and the kind of storytelling they were doing with this movie is how they should have started the franchise. I'm not saying this particular story that they had in this movie, but the formula they used for this movie,
I think
should have been used in the first
story. I think almost this story, because like they spent a ton of fucking time on Newt, Credence, and Tina and Newt. None of those things are very important in this movie.
No.
and they all just get like swept under the rug. So like I felt like the last 2 movies were all this build up for nothing. Like the main story is Grindelwald and Dumbledore, but they shied away from it for way too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's that franchise done.
Fuck 'em.
So, probably what is...
I'm thinking, do you guys think we should top off the Marvel Roundtable? There's a couple movies now that we can...
We could do that, and then next month or so start the Star Wars franchise roundtable.
So as it stands right now, for all you Marvel fans out there, because I'm such a Marvel fan, I changed my name. So right now we're basically caught up with the exception of 2 movies, which is of course Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, and of course the latest Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then Secret Invasion, which is the next Disney Plus show, is actually coming out, I think, a week from today, so that'll be interesting. That's a 6-part. I think they said it's a 6-part miniseries, but I actually am really looking forward to that one. To be honest with you,
let's do those 3, and then we'll start off the Star Wars.
Because I was going to say, I don't think there's anything else after Secret Invasion until for shows. I think it won't be until Loki season 2, and then for movies, the one everyone's looking forward to, the Marvels.
No.
I already purchased my tickets.
I fucking am ready to burn down the first movie theater I see with it on its marquee.
Can I be in there?
So here's the thing. I've damn it, said it.
Yep, you did.
There's the thing.
I've seen every Marvel movie since Shang-Chi.
Time.
Yeah.
In theater, with the exception. I don't think I'm going to go see Marvels. I don't think I'm going to go see Marvels. I'll just wait.
No.
Yeah, wait for it to be on Disney. You'll be so much happier.
Merry Christmas.
So, yeah. Tomorrow we don't really have anything unless Connor wants to pick up some Crash Bandicoot. Though we
birthday celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to do? It's a happy birthday right now.
Yes, happy birthday, Connor.
Thank you. We'll probably save the festivities for if you guys are around Saturday.
Well, aren't we doing...
Well, Saturday is...
shit!
Night.
Second night of what?
It's UGM.
Yeah, what event is it?
You know it's Money in the Bank.
I wanted to see if you do it after sending us the fucking graphic.
Money in the Bank.
Well, I can't do anything too crazy in the middle of the week because I'm still working. But I might be under the influence during Money in the King of the Ring Bank.
Well, it's up to you. We could try if you guys want to do King of the Ring Thursdays and Friday, and then do something for Connor on Saturday.
Well, I don't want you guys to get killed either. If you guys are too much
not
going
doing
on.
anything,
I'm actually better with for Thursday and Friday.
All right, that works for me then.
It's up to everybody else.
That works for me. I'll get some.
Might be a well, no.
You just realized something.
No, I wanted to talk to you guys about the card for the first night.
We'll do that when we get off the air here.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wednesday is up in the air. We may return to Sackboy. We may do something else. We won't know until the day arrives. Tentatively Thursday and Friday we will be doing HGGM mode, King of the Ring. If not, then that will be Friday and Saturday, and then wrap up the week or start the next week with some no bucks given. But you're never gonna know what we're up to. Officially,
because we don't.
You'll never officially know what we are up to unless you subscribe and hit the notification bell. So this way you know when we're live and we figured out what the fuck we're gonna do. So you guys have a good night, and we shall see you soon.
Peace out.
Blood.